2 years ago, Astroneer Rails update came out. At first, everybody was building roller coasters and having fun. But then, the true potential of this update showed itself. This whole update only introduced 7 items, but these had a huge impact on the game. First of all, we had the rails. The rail posts, the tall rail posts, and the rail junctions. All of these allow you to create a rail system that goes to different places of the same planet. Then we also had the rail stations, so that you can create stations along the way, and these will also help with automation, but we'll get to that in just a second. Then we have the trains, so that you can use something on the rail systems. For this we got the rail car, the rail engine, and coal. Coal is a special one, it's also tied to some story elements, but the basic ones are the engines and the cars. Basically you can attach 5 cars to every engine. That way you can have longer trains with more stuff on them. You can put anything you want on there. It's a large slot, so you can fill in large storages with medium storages on it. You can put modules, like you can have atmospheric condensers, chemistry labs, printers, shredders, anything you want on there. I actually built a train where you had a shredder and a trade platform. That way you can go around cleaning the planet and using the scrap to get the resources you want. So with these items, people started building a ton of stuff. First of all, yes, you can build fun stuff, you can do the roller coasters, you can do all of that, but you can use these items for a whole lot more. So let's talk about how the Rails update changed Astroneer. This allowed for faster transportation, and not just in general, but to places you regularly travel to. This is a bigger deal than it sounds. Before this, in Astroneer you would just explore. You would explore a place, gather your resources, and go back to your base. Basically, you would always do two-way trips, and you wouldn't remain in your destination. You didn't really have any destination. You would just go out scavenging and you would come back to your base. So the focal point of the whole gameplay was your base, or your multiple bases across planets. Now, with the Rails, you can have a destination in mind. You can get on the train and you know where you're gonna reach. This makes it more appealing to have 2 bases on the same planet, which most people didn't do before. It was really weird having 2 bases on the same planet and having to drive between them. They were often disconnected and people just didn't do that. It's not even just about the bases. You can have transportation to any place you regularly visit. You can build a rail line from your base into a gateway chamber because maybe you want to teleport from there. You can build it towards an auto extractor where you are regularly collecting some resources, or to a small outpost somewhere. You can connect any 2 places or even more with the junctions and the stations. You can connect 10 different places if you want to. You can build a whole system and it allows you to travel faster to these places. Now, all of a sudden, because of this update, you are no longer just in your base and you scavenge around your base. Now you can actually go to the other side of the planet. Because if you think about it, 90% of people didn't really go to the exact opposite side of the planet from where their base was. They would just go around in a circle, collect some resources and go back into the base. And the same goes for cave exploration. You can build your rail systems into the 1st, 2nd, 3rd cave layer all the way into the mantle, wherever you want, and you can regularly visit certain places where you know you will find specific resources. Maybe you build a rail line across multiple resource nodes and then you come with a train and mine each one until you fill your whole train, and you just come there multiple times and then you can get your rails back and move them somewhere else. You can do that now and you couldn't before. But now let's talk about connectivity across a planet. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but what this means is basically you can connect to different places in no time. It could take you 10 minutes to connect something from one side of the planet to another, and just use a couple aluminum for the rail posts. They are way easier to place than the extenders, for example. Just imagine trying to connect 2 different bases on opposite sides of a big planet like Glacio, let's say, and you have extenders. You would need hundreds of extenders. It would be a tedious process, and that's why nobody did that. Everybody just had a base and that was it. Now, in less than 10 minutes, you can connect anything you want on any planet. It doesn't matter. You can connect a base that's next to the core to a base that's on the surface. You can connect a base from the North Pole to one to the south. It doesn't really matter. You can do it, and you can do it fast and cheap. And once you do it, you don't have to run all the way back or use a buggy or a rover. You can just get on that train and you can go there fast. And you know you can get there anytime. If the train is not there, you can just go to a rail post and call it. In a couple minutes, it will be right in front of you and you can take it in any direction you want across the rail. Great, so it allows you to visit regular places. It allows you to connect bases and outposts so much easier. But we can't talk about the Rails update and not mention automation, because this is the update that brought in a new age of automation in Astroneer. Before, once we got the automation update, we had some sensors, we had the auto arms, so that we could automate something inside of the base. We could have an auto arm grab something from a platform and feed it to another so that we can craft items. It was basic automation. We could move stuff, we could craft stuff that requires multiple steps to craft, so that's great. That was awesome. But then, with the Rails update, we can now automate across an entire planet or across a region. You didn't use auto arms to grab Astroneer from next to the core and bring it all the way up to the base on top on the surface. I mean, maybe somebody did, but that was just for fun. There was no actual point in doing all of that. It would take way too many resources. You could do it so much easier just by putting an auto extractor down and going with the rover back and forth to grab the full canisters. So you couldn't really expand your automation past your base. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. Before the Rails update, you were stuck in your base and the whole world around your base was just for you to go scavenging, and that was it. After the Rails update, the whole planet is now your base. The whole solar system is your playground and you can do whatever you want, including automation. Hear me out on this one. I built a ton of farms for limited time events and for other stuff, and I usually use trains for that. Maybe I need a ton of copper and aluminum, let's say. 2 years ago, before the Rails update, you would just go out and mine them, or you would trade for them. You could use an auto extractor with a canister and you could just go back and forth and get that. That was the best you could basically do at that point. Now, in less than 15 minutes, I built 2 train systems, one for copper, one for aluminum, and they get it straight into your base. You would use just a little bit of automation with the train stations to load and unload the cars and the storage sensor, and that's basically it. So it's not hard, it's actually easy. It gets a lot more players into automation, and it allows you to build automation beyond the borders of your base. You are no longer stuck. Now, if you go on YouTube and look at any video with a big farm in Astroneer, it is almost certainly using trains at some point. If it's not using trains, then it's doing a workaround for something that could be done easier with trains. Test this out, go to any video and you'll see that any farm either uses trains or could be improved by trains. I'm talking about bigger farms, not like just a small soil scrap farm. That has nothing to do with actual big scale automation. But if you want to see more about trains in Astroneer, everything from fun stuff like roller coasters to automation to unlocking coal and other things, then make sure to save the train systems playlist. It's right here on screen. I had a ton of fun recording all the videos in there, so I really encourage you to watch it. And that's basically it for today. Cheers, Astroneers!